All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. We have two very special guests on tonight. Recurring guests, frequently recurring. We have Rebecca Whitcomb, Esquire. Hello, Rebecca.
Hello.
And we have Erin Cartwright Weinstein, Lake County Circuit Court Clerk. Whenever I have to say her name and Lake County Circuit Court Clerk, the show's over. It's been an hour. Both are lawyers, and again, Erin is also the Lake County Circuit Court Clerk. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a wonderful backdrop there. Erin owns two horses. She does dressage, and she's at the horse barn right now. That's cool. I love that. Very, very rural.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I kind of like being here, so that's good.
yeah. No, I was telling you. I mean, I as you know, I was there yesterday, and it was just I love being in those kinds of places. It's so cool. So yeah, both your horses are beautiful. I love them.
Thank you. I love them.
No. So both are lawyers, and we had you on once before, and you answered a bunch of my questions about law, and it was a very fruitful and lengthy conversation, very good one. I've rewatched that show probably 6 or 7 times just to kind of remember what I asked and what your answers were, and it was just a good show. So we thought about like maybe doing this maybe once a month, whatever, whenever we can, have you on to answer questions about the law. And I reached out to some people today, say, hey, I have 2 lawyers on tonight. Do you have any legal questions? And I actually have 2 people that responded with actual questions. But first of all, I want to just kind of get started with like, is there anything interesting to discuss concerning the law in Lake County? That is worthwhile to note.
The law in Lake County?
Well, anything about the judicial, like any juicy cases. I don't know. Like Erin, you might know more because you're in the political arena. Nothing comes to mind. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Nothing big's happening with the elections. Any like voter fraud or anything weird like that going on?
No, I mean, I haven't heard Anthony Vega say anything about anything weird happening during the elections. I know Asaya had his big situation going on with, I forgot the person's name. Was it Juan Benito Ruiz or something? And that went up to the appellate court.
I hadn't heard about this.
Oh, was that the one getting somebody kicked off the ballot?
Yeah, he had him kicked off the ballot, and then the circuit court affirmed it, but then they appealed. So then the circuit court said he could be on the ballot during the whole, just to be on there pending the appellate court's decision.
Who got kicked off the ballot?
It's I think it's
Juan. Not Isaiah.
No, not Isaiah. Juan Benito Ruiz or something like that. Yeah, that was in the Democratic primary. I hadn't heard anything in the Republican primary about it.
Well, I'll have to reach out to
anyway.
Isaiah and have him on to talk about that because that's getting kicked off the ballot is not that's not good.
I'll tell you the one interesting thing I did hear about recently, and this is in Illinois. There is a corporation that is suing. I don't think it's ChatGPT, but one of the big AI companies, because somebody went on an AI like ChatGPT or something, drew up their own motions and pleadings, fired their attorney, and decided to take over their own case and filed a bunch of stuff that was generated by AI. And so the company that was involved in it in some way actually is suing ChatGPT or somebody like that. And one of the claims that they're making is that what they are doing constitutes the unauthorized practice of law.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of prohibitions against in the state of Illinois. So my understanding is it's just recently filed, but it's going to be really interesting to see where a case like that goes.
That is interesting. I never really thought about that. Like just like defending your, like, okay, ChatGPT, tell me like, here's my charge. What do I do? That's not legal counsel. I just sent you like an image that ChatGPT made. Go ahead.
ChatGPT told this woman that her lawyer was giving her bad advice.
Oh, Jesus.
And so she fired her lawyer, told her she should fire her lawyer and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah.
I just sent you an image of what ChatGPT made of me. Did you see it?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No, my phone is over there charging.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's fine. Look at it later.
Oh, you texted? Yeah, my phone's in the car.
It's super heavy metal. Just to show you the power of ChatGPT, I said, like, make me a heavy metal image, a heavy of me heavy metal on a dragon. And
Nice.
it's cool. It's cool. So anyway, yeah, that's really interesting. Actually, I never thought about ChatGPT as far as AI and the law, like stuff like
Yeah.
that's
Oh, it's a huge mess.
I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah.
It's
OpenAI.
it's
OpenAI is the company that's being sued.
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a giant mess. I mean, it's making more work for the judges, more work for the lawyers,
Mhm.
you know, because and some of the lawyers are using it and getting in big trouble. There's one, Dave just took over a case in McHenry, and the prior lawyer used it, and the judge is basically sanctioning him $100 for every false citation in the pleading. And I think that's probably really easy going. I mean, I think a lot
Yeah.
of other judges would have been harsher. But yeah, even lawyers are doing it. And they're getting in
Getting in trouble.
big trouble.
Yep.
Big trouble.
Because ChatGPT is literally making up cases that don't exist and
Right.
citing them in support of things that that no case says anywhere. And people are putting that in things that they're filing with the courts.
And I went in and I had pulled up a statute, and ChatGPT, always the co-pilot or whatever, pulls it up first. And I started reading the statute in the AI portion of it. And then I pulled the statute up, and that's not what it said.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. ChatGPT was much more supportive of what I was looking for
But the statute wasn't.
than the statute was. I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh. And I'm like, where are they getting this from? I mean, this is inaccurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's nuts. Yeah, again. Is there any chatter within the legal community in the judicial branch about like the up and coming of AI in the law, like properly, responsibly, accurately, like oh well, maybe it'd work well in this area. Like, okay, what kind of chatter is going on there?
It's a
Yeah, there's a
huge
lot.
topic of conversation. Like there's seminars and all kinds of stuff all over the place in the legal field about that right now. And how there's no prohibition against using it, but there's some judges who are saying if you use AI, you have to disclose it in writing in whatever you're using it in. There are a lot that are saying, yes, you can use it, but you still have an obligation to fact check it. Like you got to check your citations and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, there's a lot of discussion going on about it right now.
Yeah. I mean, even the judges were talking they have an educational conference every other year, and it's going on right now.
Yeah.
And some of the judges were like, man, this is going to even take over our jobs eventually. I mean,
yeah,
everyone's worried about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess, I kind of like assume that legal reasoning is logical reasoning, right? Just to put it in the most general sense, if you're guilty, if you're charged with this and you're guilty, then you get, convicted. Okay, like that's a simple logical formula. If A, then B, then C, stuff like that. If that's the case, then yeah, you could probably theoretically, I shouldn't say technically, theoretically, you could have a AI or a computer do it all. You just feed in all the facts of the case. I mean, I'm saying theoretically. That's why I said theoretically.
I don't think so. I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree because there's nothing that black and white in the law.
Right.
Yeah.
There are so many shades of gray and so many nuances in everything. I don't think my job could be done by AI. I don't think Erin's job could be done by AI. I don't think a judge's job could be, at least not AI as it exists right now. I mean, maybe if it advances a lot, but I'm not worried about my job, at least personally.
Right. Yeah. But no,
I mean,
there was
I have used it in the clerk's role. And
like just for research to like just check on something or
no, I mean, okay, so there's varying pieces to that. So yes and no. I have used it to do manual work of my staff, like data entry manual work. It can be trained to do that. So especially since COVID, we've had a lot of trouble being fully staffed. And so it's taken over some of the work of my clerks. And it's also taken over some work that my clerks figured out that if they had to do it would take them 40 years to do, and we can get it done in less than a year with AI, which is all reviewing and informing us if something doesn't look right. So we have to train it how it's supposed to look. I use AI if I'm looking at, if I'm trying to look up a statute or something like that, we have it like in our platform. So the Illinois State Bar Association has what's called V Fast Case, and that fast case actually has an AI component you can pay for. So you can still use it in the legal research realm. And that product actually just recently got bought out by another attorney product that's a case management system for lawyers. So it's really kind of interesting how all this is evolving. And I'm kind of curious when, so the company is Clio, and it's a, it's an online software for attorneys to use to calendar and, communicate and everything. It's a pretty good platform. And that platform owns the platform that Illinois State Bar Association uses for us to do research. And I'm curious, when you've got all of these legal components that are responsible for these things, such as the Illinois State Bar Association, who knows how much we rely on them to have accurate information, and Clio, who supports attorneys on a case management level, if that's going to help change the way the AI works, if it's going to get more accurate so that we don't pull up statutes that are improperly, written. But I'll say, even drafting a letter, it gives me, or an email, it'll give me suggestions, and it's not always right. It changes the meaning of the sentence. So you just have to be so careful. But I'm curious how it's going to evolve. And
I would say my only very limited use of AI so far has been trying to find a good title for like a presentation or something, like give me a title for a something, blah, blah, blah. Or B, how do I nicely say something that I am like in my mind right now being really, really snarky about and need to like tone down the snark, So that's been my very limited use of it.
Yeah, no, it's powerful stuff. I mean, I just started using ChatGPT frequently, probably in the last year or so. And it's just for my own self-interest and stuff like that. Studying philosophy, I'm like, all right, give me a formal deductive proof of Plato's metaphysics. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's in symbolic.
Meanwhile, my friend that introduced me to this, she would be like, write a Shakespearean sonnet on the topic of my dog, or having fun with it that way.
Yeah, no, I had the Libertarian Party asked me to write up something on human respect or dignity last year, and I just typed it in ChatGPT, libertarianism and human respect, and it gave me this, and I used points of it, but I didn't just print it up and hand it to my friend. I typed it into my own words, but I'm like, yeah, that's perfectly said. Stuff like that. So no, it's advantageous in a lot of ways, sure. And it's you can't stop technological progress. It's coming whether we like it or not. So we'll see what happens. If we get to the point of the Terminator and Skynet and all that. Hopefully not. But that's what people are afraid of. It's just going to take over everything.
Yeah.
And the biggest concern now is, you were saying, before, is that it's going to just take out a lot of jobs, a lot.
It already does.
Flying drone. What's that?
It already has.
Yeah, it has. But that's an economic danger zone for sure. Because if people lose, the company might use AI to save money because they can cut costs on labor, but then all of a sudden more people can't afford to buy their products. So now what do they do? So they're going to have to. It's in a business's self-interest to not take that too far. Is my point. Right. So we'll see. It'll be, to say the least, interesting. So, okay, cool. So let me ask you one of the two questions I was given. Okay, I know the gist of one. I have to read the other. And maybe this is more for Rebecca. I don't know. So when somebody performs a wedding service, priest, pastor, minister, imam, rabbi, Buddhist monk, I don't know. Do they have to have some sort of legal status as their respective spiritual office in order to be legally bona fide to perform the service?
Oh God, you are testing my memory. I don't, I mean, I don't think they have to get like some kind of certification from the
They
state,
don't
but
have to prove to the state to say, hey, I'm actually a priest.
no, not that I'm
Okay.
aware of. As long as everybody believes that they have the right to perform. I mean, it does have to be somebody who, based on like either law or religion, has the right to perform that kind of ceremony. But it's not like, and Erin, you may know this better than I because it's been a hot minute since I did this kind of thing. But there's not like you don't have to get a license from the state to be able to marry somebody.
Okay.
But I think the statute does say something about, judges are allowed to perform ceremonies. And as long as the parties believe that the person has the ability, either through their religion or something else, then it's considered to be a binding marriage.
Okay. Erin, you got
Because
anything?
different
That's
religions have very
okay.
different religions have very different requirements. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead, Erin. Sorry.
I was just going to say that's actually an interesting topic because I had a case that I don't know if it's still going or not. But I'm not working on it anymore, but the parties were married under a religious is it Shira law? Am I saying that right?
Sharia.
Sharia.
Sharia. I never can pronounce anything.
Okay.
So law, and then there's another religious ceremony where they get divorced, and then it's not a real divorce. It's like a religious ceremony type thing. And the woman is given by her husband to somebody else, and then she comes back to him, and then they're considered remarried. And the question was whether or not they were actually married for the purposes of being divorced in Illinois.
Huh.
Well, but I
And
think that's a little bit different though, because the statute has rules for what is considered to be divorced, and just doing the religious ceremony isn't enough. Like there actually has to be something filed evidencing the end of the marriage, right?
they had a bunch of paperwork that went back and forth.
Well, I
That
mean, in
actually,
marriage is also a legal
very interesting.
contract too.
yeah.
Mhm.
If it's not, it does. If you get married to someone like in Wicca, it's called hand fasting,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of Wiccans, or some Wiccans that I've met in my day, like they just circumvent the legal part. They don't care. Not interested in the state condoning or not their union. Okay,
Yeah.
so they do the hand fasting and they're done. Okay, So if they ever went to go to get divorced, it couldn't be a legal avenue they could take because they weren't legally married, right?
Right. So you do have to like register the marriage, right? You have to get a license to marry, and there has
If
to
you
be a
want the legal
record
protection.
made. Right. If you
But
want legal
there's
protection, there has to be something filed
Right.
showing, evidencing the marriage.
Right.
so there was something filed evidencing the marriage, then showing that they separated and were divorced pursuant to the religion. And then what we were saying was that separation divorce pursuant to the religion was only religious, and it was a
Yeah.
ceremony. It was not an actual divorce.
Yeah.
They were saying, no, that's actually a divorce. And they weren't married. It was a really interesting. I mean, there was some paperwork, and Pakistan's different too, because they have different levels of government and different, it's a very long process that I sort of understand, but there's several different avenues. And so how you can do things. And I'm just throwing out there the religious aspect versus it's so different in different countries too. So the religious aspect versus the governmental aspect of it. I mean, they don't they do file their marriage there in one of their levels of court, but then their religion, when it intercedes, what does that mean? So I don't know. We ended up filing, there's a part of the statute that we ended up filing the dissolution under, saying that they were acting as husband and wife. And but I don't know the end result of that, because that's around the time when I stepped away. But yeah, it was it's all of
See
it's
what I'm
interesting.
saying, David? There's no black and white.
Right. No.
No.
I get you. I totally agree. I understand. Unless AI can be perfected, literally,
Yeah.
it probably shouldn't be used in lieu of judges and lawyers
Yeah.
and cops. So first of all, I'll tell you next time we hang out. There's a very long story concerning like this logician and mathematician's proof in the 1930s concerning human consciousness and algorithmic computing and stuff like that. And it's logically impossible for any computer ever, by definition, to actually have intuition. Like, it can't do it. And humans have intuition. And so you literally cannot ever replace human intuition with a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
Intuition.
subjective, objective views.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, okay. Very cool. So let me ask the next question. This is from Alexandria Keating Sofiakis. She would like to know how the hell it's legal for Illinois to pass a law banning someone from running in the general election, even as an independent / write-in, simply because they voted in the primary. That might be a question for Dave.
Well,
Or
I mean,
Anthony.
I can answer that. If you voted in the primary on this particular election, they have now registered you as a Democrat, Republican, Independent, so now that you're registered as that for this particular election, that's why they then say, that's what you're registered at for this particular situation. And then if you come back and you want to register after the election and change it, you can do that.
Oh, you can?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I will.
You can pull a primary ballot, or a Democrat ballot, or a Republican ballot in the primary. But once you do that, they're not going to change your status until the following year. So it doesn't mean once you vote in the general election that you can't vote for who you want to, because of what.
No, she's talking about running. She's talking about running it for office.
Oh, that's right. I knew I blanked a little on the question. Sorry, long day. So yeah, but that's your status. So then you can't jump in and run either. So you're just not changing your status until you've pulled a different ballot. You've registered under a different.
But she can re-register
later
now before November 3rd.
No, because the primary happened. So they'd have to wait and do it after the general, is what I understand.
Oh, okay. Well, she's obviously not happy about that.
Clearly.
I mean, but at that point, the Republicans and the Democrats can slate up until July. And, I'm sure Dave could give you a much more detailed explanation than I can, but you can still slate people. And so I don't think they're not going to slate someone who's gone, oh, oopsie, changing my mind now.
Well, it wasn't an oopsie. She wanted to endorse a certain candidate in the Democratic Party in the primary, but she herself was not running in the primary, and she wants to run in the general election as an independent, even just as a write-in. But she's saying that the law doesn't allow her to do that. Now, I personally agree with her. Like, I don't see what's the problem is.
Yeah, I'd have to look into endorsements again.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, but we've had Democratic elected officials endorse Republicans. So I'd have to see the law, I guess, because I mean, that was 2018. I remember that happening.
You know what I think they should do? Get rid of all political parties.
I knew you were going to say something.
They're just so. I'm sorry. I don't like them. You know that.
Oh, no.
Huh?
And if they do keep them, there should be more than 2, perhaps.
Well, that's for sure. That's easy. This whole mere duopoly thing. It's so
Yeah.
like in the general
They
election
work
last
in.
year, I had to pick either a Democrat or a Republican ballot. I'm like, I'm not either. I'm like, do you have one for independence? Like, no. I'm like, that's rigged. So I'm like, okay. Like, what if I want to vote for some Democrats and some Republicans? What's the difference? Who cares?
I know.
I don't know. It's weird. Okay. All right, very cool. So let me just ask you, like, personally, like, Rebecca, what's going on in your law office? Anything worth talking about?
Well, I mean, I had to be down in Chicago this afternoon to testify. So that was
today.
That was today. So I am very glad that is over, because it's very weird as a lawyer to be a witness and to be thinking like, can you ask that question a little bit differently? Like, can you?
Right, because you're the law is so specific about wording. You change the wording a little bit sometimes. You can change the entire meaning of a sentence or a proposition. So you betcha. Oh, you bet.
Yeah. But it's also just hard to remember the rules of only answer the question that's asked and don't expound on anything and all that kind of stuff. And so it was an interesting afternoon, to say the least. But
that is tough, and you can see the anxiety or trepidations of that, of like answer, like you see that with like the congressional hearings with like the secretaries of different departments on either side over time, not just now. Like a senator will be like, okay, yes or no, blah blah blah, and the person will start like, well, if you think about it, like, no, yes or no, like it's just so hard to say yes or no because there's so much nuance and detail involved behind either answer, yes or no. Like I could say yes or no, but I want you to understand why I'm saying that. So let me give that kind of thing.
Right. Yes. Right. Especially one of the people that was asking questions, it was a non-attorney. She was representing herself. And she was doing okay for somebody who's representing themselves, but she was making an argument that I knew was going nowhere. And the question she was asking me, I was like, I didn't even know how to answer it because they were so kind of off base. So it made it interesting for sure. But yeah, being on the other side of that questioning is hard when you're used to being the one doing the questioning.
Yeah. I was going to say, when I was in the state's attorney's office, like over 20 years ago, I just remember one of my colleagues did a domestic battery trial and the guy decided to represent himself. And all of a sudden he stood up in the middle of the jury trial, threw his hands up in the air and said, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing."
It's like a movie.
Well, I mean, at least he was being honest. Although I'm guessing they had probably already figured that part out, right?
Oh my gosh.
Do people at least attempt to defend themselves frequently? 1 out of 10 times, 2 out of 10 times?
I think it depends on what kind of case we're talking about.
Yeah.
Criminally, I think they're less likely to, especially because they can get a free defense attorney.
Right.
But civilly speaking, it's far more common. I mean, there are in family law, they actually have one judge who only has cases where neither party is represented by counsel, and she has a full docket with backup. So a lot of
to posture herself that way, like
I
want to be a judge. Go ahead.
They have one courtroom that is only for self-represented litigants.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, that's interesting.
And she loves it.
Yeah.
Does she find herself helping the each side a lot because they probably don't know what they're doing?
They have a lot of people up there who help. They have like a help center for people. But that was actually a program that was started by Justice Elizabeth Rochford. And she is on our Supreme Court now since 22. And she started that program and really did a beautiful job with it. And it's gone on, and the judge that took over for her, Judge O'Malley, she loves it up there. Loves helping them, loves being a part of it. So, I think it's just your personality and what you probably gets less mad at them than you do at attorneys that are Fighting nonstop.
Well, that makes sense because attorneys should know better, right? So when they should, being the operative word there. So like when they screw up, egregiously, I could see a judge like, what are you talking about, man? Like, are you stupid? Or somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about is like, okay, well, let me help you out
here. Yeah.
I mean, the judge is so patient. And especially when Liz Rochford was doing it, like she's always been a huge proponent of access to justice. And so, this whole thing was very much her baby, and being in her courtroom, because we would volunteer in her courtroom every once in a while. And she just had so much like empathy and patience, in dealing with these people. And I think people, even though they didn't know the law, left her courtroom feeling like they had truly been heard. And so I think it's done great things for people because, a lot of people just can't afford lawyers.
I know. I've heard the rumblings of how much lawyers charge.
Yeah. I couldn't afford me.
I couldn't afford me either. Absolutely. Yeah. Same.
Yeah. No, that's the only reason I don't break the laws, because I'm broke. I'm just kidding.
The only reason.
But what was this judge's name, Rebecca?
The current one.
The one that's compassionate.
Started it. Supreme Court Justice Elizabeth Rochford is the one.
She's amazing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nobody we have access to come on my show.
Well, I think the judges, she would probably come on and talk about like what the Supreme Court is like. I mean,
yeah, that's the Illinois Supreme Court,
but nothing specific.
Yeah, the Illinois Supreme Court.
Oh, okay. Oh man, if we can get somebody from there on this show, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing, and she's a wonderful person. Just a wonderful.
And Erin and I have both known her since long before she was a Supreme Court justice. I don't know about you, Erin, but I knew her when she was still practicing before she was even on the bench.
Yep. She helped me learn probate.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that just the legal term for probing to get more information?
No, it's
probate is what happens after people die.
Okay.
Or guardians or guardianships for disabled adults or children. So if both parents pass away, and it's in a guardianship and not an adoption, then they'll go through probate, like to have care, kind of a care custody control of a child.
Oh, okay.
But it's not, There's different ways to do that, but that's one.
Of all the different types of things you learned in law school, was the legalese, the lingo, at all challenging? Or was it pretty easy to take in stride?
I think some of the Latin stuff.
Some
of the Latin words, I still have to go back and remember what they are. So,
I mean, I was an English major, and when I was in undergrad,
you had an advantage there. Yeah. You're a word person.
Etymology when I was in undergrad, so I was into the lingo.
Good, that's cool. That's right on. Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah, studying English would be an advantageous there. When I was living in Portland, I was working at the hospital, which is also a med school, a nursing school, and nursing school is a huge operation. I lived there amongst a bunch of med students, and of course, you can't be stupid and be a med student. I mean, very intelligent people. Emotionally, they were like 4 years old, but like intellectually, they're like gods. Yeah. But I remember from a few of them saying that the one thing that really kind of gave them pause and was a little bit more difficult, because everything is Latin there in science and medicine, was learning the terms. Memorizing the terms. They understood the concept, the meaning of the terms, but it's in Latin. It's a dead language. Like, why don't you just pick up freaking English word? Why do you have to use a dead language to describe, an amoeba? And
they've been changing that. I mean, I want to say when we went to law school, they started talking about the fact that people just couldn't understand the documents, and so they really have changed that. I mean, we still have certain words that we use, like amitimus or habeas corpus, lis pendens. I mean, there's still some that we use, but it's not as frequent anymore. And most of the time, I don't even use those words. If I'm talking about stuff, I'll kind of describe it. I mean, mitimus I will, but the lis pendens I don't use. I just say what I mean.
I try to avoid using legalese as much as possible, because I do realize it's like, we understand it perfectly well, but the rest of the world probably doesn't. So why do we not just speak and write in plain English?
Right.
So that's been a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Erin, what about you? Anything interesting going on in your firm or in your office?
I mean, in my firm, I actually had my very first dog custody fight.
No.
Yeah, first one.
When
So that's
did
kind of
it become
interesting.
the law that dogs are property, pets are property?
That's
Well,
always been the law. Pets are
that's
property.
always been the law. Now it's adjusting to say that you can basically have visitation.
That's a
It's
recent one.
For
well,
real?
it's like
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, something like
Something
that.
like
It's
that.
pretty
Yeah.
recent.
And so something recently changed concerning like the status of a pet in
Yep.
separation. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was
Yeah.
is it a visitation rights? So I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah. We had a fight. I had this fight in a divorce case a couple of years ago, but it ended up settling. So I didn't really get into the, nooks and crannies of it because one party backed off. But um this one is moving on. So that's kind of interesting. As far as my office goes, we are just starting on April 1st. We have a new product that Rebecca's going to love. Our e-certify platform is going live.
Yay! What does that mean?
So it means that if you need a certified copy of a document, you no longer have to come to my office. We stamp it. You have to pay for it. Now you can go online, pay for it, and order it through a kind of a portal, and then it sends you the certified document.
That is gonna save me so much freaking.
This is not meant to be like a jerk question, but like, why is this just happening? It sounds like something that should have happened like 10 years ago.
So it depends on what certain places will approve as being a certified document.
Okay,
So
fair
we
enough,
used to have the raised seal, and I actually still have like a really old raised seal in my office. Um, and then we had this red stamp that went on the back, and like we have changed over time because at one point we were doing certified copies where the attorneys or the person could bring in their own copy of the document and we would certify it. But then we learned that we weren't always getting the actual original from the file. So then we had to make copies to do it. So now people always had to come in to get them because it had to have the physical stamp. It had to have, or some may need a raised seal. Now the company that we're going with actually has a government contract that says that their seal is legit for purposes of being an actual real certified. It's not, because otherwise, if you don't have the government saying, yes, you're legit, then I could hand you anything and say certified ECW,
Yeah.
and that would not be legit, even though I'm the clerk. So he actually has something. And there are probably going to be times like Rebecca's going to get one and they're going to say, nope, we want it raised, or nope, we want an initial or something. And, she may have to bring something or let us know. We may have to
Yeah.
redo it or something. But the majority of companies and contractors and everything are taking this particular seal. So yeah, it's going to save her gas, time, parking, all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Yep.
And
But this
walking in.
ranges over like all lawyers, right? Any inquiries into these sorts of forms, right?
Mhm.
Yep. You can get anything I'm holding.
Anything that's in a court file, you can ask them. Any court order that's been entered in a court file, you can go to the courthouse and say, I need a certified copy of this document. And they will print it out and put their stamp on to say, I certify that this is a true and accurate copy of the order that was entered by this court.
Yep.
Yeah.
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
So,
Okay, very cool. So help me, whomever.
Yeah.
At least you didn't finish the last part of that.
That's why I said whomever.
That's how I got sworn in today, Erin. They did.
Really?
So help you God. Yeah.
They don't usually do that anymore.
No.
Okay, that's interesting because I was asking Rebecca about this before we went live. Like, is there any sort of like lenience or alternative statement? Probably the way you say it, a judge says it, for atheists or agnostics.
You just don't add the end of it.
Yeah. A lot of
Truth, the whole
judges,
truth, and nothing
my
but the truth.
experience in Lake County is they don't put that part at the end, but the judge that I was in front of today did.
Yeah, I've had a couple judges do it, but typically they don't.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's not
Yeah.
like they're not legally obligated to do it.
No.
It's more tradition, I guess, at some point.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it might for some it may be habit, you know.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it
No,
is,
I think if I just sort of ranted it off my tongue, I would probably put, God at the end too, just because that's how it players. Yeah, no, driving around, like coming back from McHenry, I see like some cop cars that say like "In God We Trust" at the back. I'm like, why do you have that on?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Because it's McHenry.
Huh?
I actually saw a Homeland Security police vehicle on 41 when I was driving up here from downtown this afternoon.
Yeah, it gets very creepy when people think that they're doing things, in the name of God. Like it's just that's when problems start.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not, I'm a spiritual person, as I believe in like a certain type of God in a sense. It's not the same as the biblical one, but I believe in spirit and eternity, and that you betcha, and a soul, sure. But
So,
okay, cool. Go ahead.
And then the other thing we have is we're starting the e-citation project launch. So the police officers will be able to do their traffic tickets in their cars. And when they do it, it'll automatically send them to our office. So that's going to be really
So like
nice.
as of now, the cop has to bring the hard copy of the ticket to you, to
Yep.
your office, and then you take it, you file it, and
Yep.
Look at you coming all the way into the 21st century, Erin.
I know. It's only taken me 9 years. So we've got that. So the police officers are really excited about it. I did a presentation in front of the chiefs of police about a month ago. I felt really bad because I was really sick, but I knew they needed me there. So I went.
I remember that day.
Yeah. And
you were like, I have to go do
I know. I have to go do this and I'm really sick. I felt so bad being there.
Germs to everybody.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Lake County is sick.
I know. My God, so sorry. So yeah, and I thought they were gonna have a lot of questions, the police officers, and they really didn't have that many, but yeah. It's
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that'll be so nice for them. They won't have to drive in and now, like, without bond in Illinois, they don't really have a reason to drive in. They don't. Before, they would drive in and they would give us the tickets and the cash and the driver's licenses, but they don't do that anymore. So they don't really, other than the tickets, they have no reason to be driving to us. So it'll be really nice for them and save them a lot of.
They can spend more time getting the bad guys.
Yeah, and we get everything a lot faster. So if people need to see things, they'll be uploaded really quickly. So yeah, that's going to be really, really nice. But
yeah, okay, very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
What's the situation? I ask two more questions and then we'll call it. What FOIA is one? I'll make that second. And but what's the deal with, like, a cop gives you a traffic ticket, you go to court to fight it or whatever, and the cop doesn't show up? The ticket gets dismissed because the cop didn't show up.
So it
Every
depends
time?
if the cop. No, because it depends on whether or not the cop is the only, or the police officer is the only witness.
All right, let's say
if they're the only witness, then it would get dismissed.
Even if like it's on radar and recorded in the computer system that the person was speeding, the cop doesn't.
They have to testify to the radar. They have to testify the radar was working, that they calibrated it. Yeah, they've got to go through a list of questions just to ensure that that was accurate. How they spotted the vehicle, make sure that was actually the vehicle. This is actually the defendant they pulled over, because we've had. I have not personally had this, but I've heard of situations where people have gotten tickets and they weren't the driver, but that car was registered to.
Oh, right.
Yeah, a car was registered to a dad, and then they gave. Yeah, and then the ticket was written out to your mom, and it may have just been the police officer was tired, and
ran the plates, saw the name, Elisa.
Yeah, exactly. So if that happens, then for sure you would have to, the judge wouldn't be able to find the person guilty if it's not the right person. So there's all those pieces to it. So they definitely have to be there. If there was a car accident and the other person who was involved in the car accident was there to testify, then the prosecutor could go forward with that witness.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. Now FOIA, and Rebecca, you said something a few minutes ago which triggered this thought. This is another one of those questions I've had for you for like a year, and I keep forgetting to ask.
Okay.
This is probably more specific to Erin because of her role as an archivist of legal documentation. To what extent does FOIA go into your office? Like, can anybody in the general populace FOIA anything that you hold?
So I am not FOIAble because I am judiciary branch and I am public. So whatever you
Everything's
need,
open anyway.
right? So unless the judge has sealed and pounded it, whatever, then yeah, I'm not FOIAble. Could you send a FOIA to the county government for my credit card statements for my office, that kind of stuff? Then sure, yeah, you could do that. But if someone asked me, I'd probably ask them to be turned over anyway because it's public money. So as far as I'm concerned, you know,
that brings up another interesting thing though, like especially like, you know, with every president, you know, almost every president up till Trump, you know, would release their income, their tax forms and stuff that Trump won't. And like, I kind of like sided with him. I'm like, well, how is it anybody's business? Like how much, you know, what he does with his money? Like, I don't understand. Like, I understand
because it's not my money.
But
it's not my money. It's the county's money. It's your property taxes, right? So if I go
no, you said credit card bills for the office, not your personal credit card bills.
Right.
Okay, I thought you meant like Erin.
Oh Weinstein. Yeah, no. They can't get
why would anybody
my
want
personal credit?
Okay.
No. Gotcha. And if anything, the county would be thrilled I paid for something personally. It didn't make the county pay for it. So yeah, no one could care about that. But I mean, technically, if that would be what's FOIAble. What's not FOIAble are my emails between myself and anyone else in the judiciary branch. Unless I shared that email with somebody else, then I opened that door on that email. Or if I'm emailing with county government. So if it's anything in county government that is something that is allowed to be seen, then that would be FOIAble. So if I was emailing back and forth with the chief finance officer about my budget, that's FOIAble. If I am emailing back and forth with HR over an employee issue, that would not be FOIAble. Mm-hmm. So because that's private. So the only people that would be entitled to that information about that employee under all of the Employee Act laws would not be able to, people can't just see that.
Gotcha.
But we know those are tight. So
Rebecca, what about like as far as like again, family law is intense stuff and there's all sorts of privacy issues, I'm sure, and that kind of thing. But is any sort of legal documentation, whatever it may be, FOIAble by the general public concerning these cases, or absolutely not?
Well, no, because again, even in divorce, it's all public record. When people get divorced, every motion they file, every order that gets entered, the divorce judgment that ultimately gets entered, it's all part of the public record in the clerk's office. So FOIA isn't even needed for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say usually, I mean, we would have like client attorney notes that would not be exposed. Those by law are basically, it's like a seal.
You don't get to be part of the court file anyway.
Right. It's privilege. That's the word I'm looking for. Right. But no, I mean, if it depends on what you're asking that the law firm would have, right? So if our client gave us a bunch of bank statements in a discovery, that would have to be subpoenaed. It couldn't be FOIA'd.
Right. Because FOIA is only for like government agencies, right? Like I, as a private attorney, don't have any obligation to give anything to anybody under FOIA.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
What about a public defender?
They would have attorney-client privilege with all of their notes, documents maybe that were provided by the defendant or videos or things like that they chose to not use in court. So that would be attorney-client privileged information. So that would not be FOIAble. The anything that happened in the case, unless the judge sealed, impounded, or expunged the case, ultimately, that would all be public record and no need for FOIA.
Gotcha. And I really appreciate like the amount of transparency there is in our legal system in this country. And that's, I mean, because, again, it's like this whole the whole adage of like, the most dangerous thing for democracy is an ignorant populace. So the fact that you can have access to just about any information concerning what the government is doing is very, very cool. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but again, I don't really care about, Trump's personal finances. Personally, I don't care. Like, the law does, obviously, because he did some crap. But so remember, folks, he was convicted 34 times of felony fraud. 34.
Yeah.
But the people voted him in
And
anyway.
he's still the president.
Yeah. Here we are.
Unbelievable.
Term 2.
It's going so well. Anyway, okay, so it's been 50 minutes. That's good. Anything you wanted to add or plug about anything ever?
Not really.
No, I mean, I can think when we were talking about the police chiefs, they are having a fundraiser. There's a Illinois municipal golf outing that they're doing, Lake County Municipal Golf Outing, not Illinois, sorry, that they're doing in June. So if anyone wants to go to that or sponsor it, they would love it. They're always looking for the support.
Do you know what golf course they're going at?
Oh my gosh, I did, and now I'm blanking.
But it's in Lake County. It's in Lake County, right?
It's in Lake County, yeah.
Maybe I'll talk to Cavelli's coming on the show, hopefully next week, if not the week after.
Okay.
I'll send you to the link.
He's the best.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
He's coming to the we have in the Illinois Association of County Officials and conference twice a year, and he's coming this time to do a presentation on court. It's kind of a court security / how they handled the 4th of July, Cremo matter, and it's going to be really good.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool.
He's such a good speaker.
Just about to say, he's so well spoken, so articulate, so intelligent. Like I just rewatched my interview with him, which was about a year ago, a couple of nights ago, and I was just like, wow. This guy, he just really knows how to.
That's why after the 4th of July, like all the big national networks wanted to steal him because he's just incredible. And he's I could see
him being like a news anchor or something like that. Yeah.
But and on top of it, he's just a downright good person.
He is a very good person.
When he was
father and community centered, very big. He loves community. Yeah. He loves it.
Yeah, and I could pick him up. I'll pick up the phone and call him anytime about anything, and we could have a really great conversation. Yeah. And you never felt like you walked away from the conversation going, "Oh man," I mean, I never did. I always walked away from the conversation going, "All right, it'll get resolved one way or the other." And I mean, he
doesn't circumvent questions. He answers them directly. Mm-hmm. Like he's just a really cool dude. I'm glad to have him on our side for sure.
Lake County's lucky to have him.
But yes, we are very much so. So
I think he just got promoted again.
Oh boy, he's gotten like I mean he deserves it. He's gotten like 3 promotions since I met him.
I know. I know. Yeah, I think I just read that he got promoted again. So I'm really, I mean, because he was our deputy chief, and then he went to chief of patrol, and now he is gone up one more. I can't remember.
Well, when I first met him, he was a sergeant. I have him in my phone as Sergeant Chris Cavelli. And he's been promoted like 2 or 3 times since then. And every time I interview him, I'm like, I got to change this. And I keep forgetting.
Yeah, he's a really, I mean.
Here's your reminder again.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sad because like now all of the police officers I grew up with in the state's attorney's office are retiring. I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't right.
Yeah,
they're all
you're gonna have Gen Z. You're gonna have Gen Z cops on their way.
So can I talk about something that's completely off topic and yet still a lot of fun? So my dog has made a new friend at the dog park when we go there in the mornings, and it is a dog named Elwood. And I discovered after we met Elwood that he is actually the Libertyville Police Department's service dog.
Wow.
Whatever dog.
Yeah.
And today we went to the dog park, and Elwood brought a friend whose name is Chester, who is the Libertyville Fire Department's dog.
Oh, wow. Neat.
And so my dog is, has his morning play date at the dog park with all the Libertyville dogs for the fire.
The canines?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to hear my funny Libertyville Police Department story?
Sure.
Always.
So in 2000, when I came here and became a state's attorney, I had never touched a gun. And no one could believe it because I came from Michigan and we have big NRA presence, right? So I get here, and the first gun that I actually got to touch was a guy who was picked up for murder. And he'd murdered someone in Lake County, but he was down in Texas and they were extraditing him. And they shipped the gun up that was not the gun used in the murder case. So we all got to touch it, right? And so then my supervisor, who now I think works for Winnebago, loved her. She took us to Libertyville Police Department to do we did a SWAT team practice, and we got to shoot at the firing range. Well, I had never shot a gun. They had guns from just a regular handgun to an AK-47 that we could shoot. And there were I think there were 7 or 8 of us in the department at the time. So I got to the single buckshot, and that thing threw me across the room, bruised my shoulder, the whole thing. But prior to that happening, I had shot out the ceiling tile below the chief's office.
Oh,
And yeah, and I had shot out the light fixture.
oh my God.
So
That's
so
hilarious.
then once the single buckshot threw me backwards, they're like, "You're done." They cut me
Erin
off.
is never allowed in Rudyville PD again.
I know, right? But I have to say though, the SWAT team part was so incredible. They had us walking up to cars that had tinted windows, and you don't know who's in the car, what's going on in the car. Then they started teaching us some fighting back tactics that they learned in their training academy and stuff. And I will say I learned a respect for what they do from that training session that I will never forget. It takes a special personality and just charisma to be in blue. I mean, they really are amazing. And so that's my funny story. So
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. I have a very vivid image in my head.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. I know, right around the time that I was running for office in 2016, one of the police officers in Libertyville, I can't remember who it was, said, "Oh yeah, the damage is still done." They haven't fixed it yet. I don't know if they have now. It's another almost 10 years later, but yeah, it was really funny.
Well, when you started telling the story, I was going to say, I have a gun. I'll take you to the range sometime, but I'm not doing that.
Don't do that.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
I'm not
I
taking
am.
No,
Yeah.
not gonna happen. So
Yeah. Don't give me a gun.
Not gonna happen. Do not. Don't give you a gun. Don't let Dave start bonfires.
I run really fast.
Okay, good. That's your self-defense.
Sorry. Anyway, that was my story.
Okay, cool.
So,
all right, cool. Well, thank you very much, Rebecca Whitcomb and Erin Cartwright Weinstein, for coming on Let's Talk Lake County.
Thanks for having us again.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's if you're up for it, let's try to keep this going. And I try to get more questions from more people out in the general public there about what's going on with the law. And I think it's a very healthy thing to do. Get the people in the community kind of understand the law better. So this is a good opportunity for that.
Well,
cool.
and I like people thinking that we're available to them. We're not, especially
aloof.
The courthouse. That the attorneys and the clerks and the police departments and the judges, they want a connection with the community, and it doesn't always happen as much as it should. But
right,
we've been trying to bring high schools in, and we bring in the paralegal group from CLC. We bring in younger kids, and we just want them to know that we are accessible. We do want to converse with you, and even though sometimes I think it feels like we're over there and everyone else is over here, and that's not true. So even though I can see how people feel that way. So
yeah, no, I mean, the courthouses or that whole entity or area of the law or the government is, seems like a megalith.
Yeah.
Is, like almost like sacred space that we're not allowed to walk onto, And that's how it's perceived. It's not the case, but
yeah. And I think the judges and those of us who are there all the time forget, you
how
know, how
intimidating
other
it can
people
be
feel.
for other people. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's the daily norm for us. I mean, I couldn't go in and do investing. I would lose all my money. So I think, you know, everybody's got their areas, but we forget that.
And I think people also get fed stuff from like social media, the news,
Mhm.
internet in general. Like, you know, they only post videos of, let's say, like police officers that are usually are doing something wrong or bad or overly aggressive or something like that. So then it becomes like the 100% of our conception of cops. You know, like all
Same
cops
for
are
lawyers. Like lawyers
their
are
lawyers are just out to,
mean,
like, you know, screw us
yeah,
and blah 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 blah.
They're mean, they're rich, they're, you
Well,
yeah.
know, and it's not all true, you know? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
every profession's going to have their difficult ones, but you know, my vision is, you know, I see the Gurnee Police Department constantly getting out of their truck and helping the people who are at that, I think it's Stone Edge. It's a center for people who have disabilities that it's right near my house, and I'll see them pushing their wheelchairs back up the hill when they got stuck. I mean, like, I get to see that visual, you know, like, but I mean, it's kindness. It's not just, you know,
right.
there's a lot they do that is so caring. And
Yeah, you know, I've had encounters with police plenty of times in my life. There was only one that was negative, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. The guy was just kind of I asked him a question, and you know, I said, "Well, why is this illegal?" And I was genuinely curious, like, because I said so. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's a stupid answer, but okay." that's the worst of my encounters with cops.
and my answer is to ask your legislator.
No, I wanted to say, "Oh, I
Why do
didn't
we
realize
do it
cops
that
were
way? I don't
legislators," but I
know.
mean. Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's, you know, I'll just judge you silently because it was a dumb thing to say. But anyway, so all right, thanks for coming on the show,
All
ladies,
right.
very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks for
everybody
having
tuning in.
us.
And
Thank you.
don't end yet. I want to chat for 2 seconds out of air. Thank you for everybody tuning in to Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. Till next time, keep talking. Okay, well, there's a little lag here.